Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on a Tuesday morning, day 2, and we are back on the air like we never left. It's been a very, very interesting few hours since we left the set, and we can tell you that there's a lot to talk about, most importantly concerning Nigeria and you, Nigerians. My name is Joe Hansen.
And my name is Olive Emodi. Very delighted to be here with you again. We're streaming live on YouTube via News Central TV Live, where we take your reactions, your comments, observations, as well as your pushback. It's okay to disagree with some of the things we say. We're very open to that. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. We'll be up until 10 a.m. after which Asiri takes over. But for now, let's look at some of the political stories that have happened and just gauge the political temperature of the country. Yesterday in Anambra State, the sit-at-home order was the governor had insisted that he would then prorate the work of the civil servants to ensure that that's a way to push back against the sit-at-home order. But it doesn't look like people took that quite well, because there was update in that regard concerning the markets being shut and people not wanting to show up. And we talked about that yesterday, saying It's beyond making policies, but ensuring that there is a huge measure of implementation, and implementation of those policies will also require you looking back to x-ray what led to the cause. You can't just say we're wiping this off. There's an underlying issue that still needs to be sorted, and that hasn't been sorted.
That's true. We'll talk about that in a moment, because that's part of our wake-up conversation and also part of our top stories for today. Looking at the impact that this has had, especially on the southeastern states that have been affected. But besides that, there's a lot that also happened. A few hours ago, the defense headquarters did come out with the release and the names of the 16 soldiers who had plotted a coup against the current government, the government under President Bola Tinubu. And reason why they released that name, they said it had taken time. They had to carry out investigations and ensure that they did their due diligence to ensure that they do not in any way affect the dividends of democracy. So we do hear that the defense headquarters has indeed come out with a full statement. They've mentioned the names of the individuals or the army officers who were involved in the alleged plot. This time it's no longer alleged because it has been proven. Besides that, that's the more reason why Oktoberfest parade did not hold, if you recall. Sahara Reporters, coincidentally, had been one of the media houses who had broken this story, even to the surprise of many who later on follow through. So kudos to the fourth realm of the government. Let me put it that way.
Well,
who
that's the media.
Yeah, who have been doing justice to ensure that Nigerians get the story. That's why we wake up every morning here to let you know
against
what you should know. Yes,
against the traffic and the potholes.
Oh my goodness! Those who live in Lekki Ekpe Expressway, how are you living? My goodness!
Okay.
It's just day 1. Day 2 today.
I don't know how bad things were yesterday, because I tried to make sure that I got in well in time before the whole blocking started. But I guess in the next few days,
it was nice. It was fair yesterday for you.
It was decent. It still felt like regular traffic at the time that I left. But I mean, you can see that there is work going on. They did announce that from Sunday and for 64 days that there will be partial blockages. You can see traffic building up on one side of the road. Certain parts will be blocked while work is being done. And while this is very inconveniencing, we can't say that we can't keep complaining that the roads are bad and not expect the government to fix it. What we just will hope for is that they find ways to do this in shorter times. Remember when I forgot the name of the bridge on the island had an issue, and they said they were going to work on that bridge for 2 months, and then one day the whole of the commercial capital was crippled because of the traffic, and the Minister of Works flew in the next morning, and this bridge was fixed in 48 hours. So the question is, if you knew that it could be worked on in 48 hours, why did you tell us it will take 2 months? So I'm hoping that that's not another situation here. That these 64 days, if there's a possibility for it to be shortened, that it be shortened. I'm not an architect, so I don't know how it works. Shortened
or even extended?
So no. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't want to hear a situation where they say we haven't finished in 64 days. We need to extend it. That's one. 2, in the future, in the near future, we can't keep shortening major roads that serves as, arteries for parts of like this Lekki Ekpa Expressway is a major artery for, especially for those on the island.
Yeah.
You cannot be commuting to like Ajah without going through Lekki Ekpa Expressway. Yeah, now there is a coastal highway.
Yeah,
but this is a major nerve center for activity on Lagos Island. So we need to think of ways to achieve best results in the littlest possible time.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I also think that the alternative routes, aside from the coastal road, should now be fixed before you venture into fixing the major roads. Take, for instance, there's a construction on the VGC axis, the bridge, and the one that's supposed to take people across that would make you, bust out to Lekki Phase 1. Quite surprising that that road has been abandoned. That bridge, that entire project has been abandoned for the past 3.5 years counting. And guess what? We didn't see that in the concurrent budget, especially for Lagos State. I might be wrong. Maybe the Lagos State Commissioner in charge of works will be able to explain why that bridge has been left abandoned completely. For some who live in VGC, they felt maybe it was because of the elections, that's why. But then again, anyway. For those who are plying that route, Lekki Ekpa Expressway, we do hope that you'll be able to find some form of solace. But don't worry, if you're watching us this morning,
solace is just to make sure that your AC, if you're driving your car, to make sure that your AC is working, your speaker is working, so you can be blasting music and using down to
and then, sleep.
But you cannot be, that even sounds a little too privileged, because there are many people that don't have that luxury.
There's the transport drivers and so on.
And I'm hoping that drivers will not capitalize on this to say, oh, we're spending longer times in traffic, as a result we are burning more fuel, as a result you have to pay more.
They had better be careful, because the fuel price has come down. They've refused to reduce the prices on transportation.
The law of gravity doesn't apply here. What goes up doesn't come down.
They should not anger me this morning.
Sorry, anyway, don't anger me.
I just represent a cross-section of
let's talk about something that would actually anger you. Very heartbreaking story. A woman has broken down in tears after a close friend of hers was kidnapped and killed while traveling to Abuja. A tragedy she captured in the haunting words, "May Nigeria never happen to you." Now, according to her account, the victim was abducted on the journey, and her family was later asked to pay 100 million naira ransom. But despite desperate efforts, they could not raise the amount, and she was eventually killed. A heartbreaking video of the woman's emotional outburst has since gone viral, once again spotlighting Nigeria's deepening insecurity, where ordinary travel has become life-threatening, and Nigerians are left asking, how many more? You can see the interaction. Good morning, nothing yet. Oh my God, hi dear, hi Jessica, what's up? My sister has been kidnapped too. It says...
My sister has been killed.
Oh, killed. Yeah. So, let's listen to the video.
Amen. May Nigeria no happen to you. I feel so weak. A friend of mine, we both sat together in Benin. She was traveling to Abuja probably like 2 weeks ago. She was kidnapped and they requested for 100 million naira for ransom. Her cousin posted on Facebook and tagged her. That was how I got to find out. I've been sending messages like to ask what's up. Her cousin just DM'd me and said she's been killed. They unalived her. On a live Lovette. The on a live Lovette. May Nigeria no happen to you. May Nigeria no happen to me. And to every one of you shouting, oh! Come back home, come back home. You think we don't want to come back home? You think we are not exhausted and tired of clocking in and clocking out? What about the insecurity? Because when you say, oh, it can happen to anybody, anyone. Even some people who pay the ransom, they still want to alive some people. No, Lovette is gone. Just like that.
That's a sad jolt. Wakes us up and reminds us about the challenge that we're facing here as a country, as a people, and how insecurity is far from over. But let's see what other Nigerians are saying about this on X. We'll take a few tweets and then we'll come back to share our thoughts as well. You can go on YouTube to share yours. We're streaming live, News Central TV live. But our first tweet this morning says, "This is heartbreaking and terrifying. No one should live in fear of being kidnapped or losing their loved one. Insecurity at this level is a national crisis, and it's understandable why many feel unsafe returning home." You could hear in that tweet, that video where she was saying how you think they don't want to come back, and that is because they can't guarantee their security. Living in Nigeria now is dangerous to one's health. Fear alone has become our food. For how long? Special Breed asks. Our next tweet, "The most heartbreaking thing about this kidnapping is that they usually demand almost an impossible ransom. Where do you expect a regular citizen to get 100 million naira from? It's almost impossible to borrow that sum of money. Even if you got it, how will you even pay back?" So it's almost like it's a death sentence that they're sentencing people to. The sad reality is that Tinubu's failed economic policies indirectly gave rise to kidnapping. Besides, a government that embraces terrorists without consequences only emboldens kidnappers to operate freely. Our next tweet says, "This is really sad and frustrating beyond words. Why can kidnappers demand 100 million naira and walk free? Why is ransom negotiation more reliable than state protection? Why do families have to choose between poverty and burying their loved ones? Injustice is real," asks. And I was checking on YouTube. I may take some comments, but before then, I would say that every one of us knows someone that either has been directly impacted or knows someone that was directly impacted. Joe, I was sharing with you yesterday how I don't know if that was it, but I sensed that I may have almost narrowly missed something like that. And you were sharing with me, a family member's experience as well.
Yeah.
I had an event.
Right.
Yes, I had an event on Sunday night, and it was just like 5 minutes away from my house. I didn't think I should drive, so I took a taxi instead. And I went, because I also knew it was going to be a packed out event. By the time I was on my event, I requested a taxi on one of the popular ride-hailing apps. He came, I got into the taxi, we got to my junction, he sped past my junction, and I said, "You've just passed my junction." He didn't answer me. I said, "Okay, you've passed my junction." He said, "Do you want me to drop this key so that you can drive this car?" And we now got to a turn. He was about to turn into. I said, that's not my house. You're entering the wrong place." At this point, I had then wound down because there were other cars. So in my mind, I was really willing to shout through the windows or whatever it was. And then he says, "Where is your house?" I said, "But I put the address on the map." I had to be extra soft and not fighting because this was very late at night and I was scared for myself. And that's the reality we live in Nigeria, where it may have just been a rude driver, but because of the state of insecurity, I assume that it can be anything. It can be both either rude or a ritualist or a kidnapper, all of them, put in one. And that's the reality of many people.
It's sad, Olive. It's so sad. I mean, when I watched this video, adding to what you went through recently, it's sad that we have leaders who are busy politicking, and the people they claim to rule over are living their lives as if they are counting down to who will be kidnapped next and who would have to gather money to save the next person that's been kidnapped. It's also sad that they've touted with state police, and that conversation seems to have died down because we've reverted back. Have you noticed we've gone back to politics? Politics is now center stage.
As usual.
As usual. The number one citizen had put out a statement that we had been talking about here on Breakfast Central, that there has to be a state of emergency on security, if as far as it gets possible, of shutting down key areas or sectors and focusing on this issue. But what we got was a statement, not state of emergency, a statement where the president gave directives. Oh, going forward, this, going forward, that. And the chief of defense staff came out and said, no more roadblocks. Take all the roadblocks off the road. We're going to apply this and so on. All these statements, guess what? They came as a result of the fact that President Donald Trump had put out a statement. So now it seems that we're in bed with the United States. Everything is now calm. Politics is back fully, 100%. Check out our stories today. But look at somebody who has just been unalived. You are about to travel, you are afraid, you are scared. And it's so painful that the politicians and those who are to rule over us, in quotes, do not even bat an eyelid. They don't care. But look at the way they drive around. They have their convoys, their security. Oh, by the way, take away private police officers, right, from VIPs. That's a lie. That was just a charade. You will still see them around. I saw some yesterday. They were busy driving around with their Oga and so on. And I just laughed. We are a joke. And it's so sad that we've gotten to this level where, look at that lady crying. You can't bring the dead one back to life. We have hope that this one definitely will resurrect sometime. But as we speak now, that Lovett that she mentioned, who used to be a friend, is gone. Kidnappers are, it's a big business. It's a big chain. Nobody knows who will be picked up next. But those in power are supposed to put the effort to prove to you Nigerians that they are working hard. They are busy, they are politicking. I saw something about Etiosa local government, who's that representative, commissioning generator, commissioning road, and being happy, buying cars for members and so on and so forth. People are dying. Are you not supposed to come out? So you see, the truth is, just to wrap this up with how I feel, I'm curtailing myself because I remember one thing I said to myself yesterday night when I saw this story. I said, those in power always believe that they are stronger than the people they rule over. But look at the numbers, and I hope they are watching. You have over 250 million Nigerians. And you, 360, 106, or how many? If just a percentage of that 250 million, just say 35 million decide to come out and shut down everything, both the airports, everywhere, shut down completely, switch off the lights, everything is off. We would say, how would you rule the nation? And these ones come out en masse and say, enough is enough. What would you do? We've seen it happen in different countries. And that's because the president or those in power were actually poking. They were poking these ones, even when they kept shouting. So it's painful. It's really painful, to be honest. But then again, away from that sad story, let's move on to a story that you'll be thinking could be either true or false, but we'll let you decide. At the Muhammadu Buhari Square in Lokoja on Sunday, youths of the All Progressives Congress in Kogi State presented a 100 million naira check, allegedly, even though the government said they provided it. We don't believe them. 100 million naira check to Governor Ahmed Ododo for the purchase of President Bola Tinubu's 2027 re-election nomination form, describing the gesture as an endorsement of the president's leadership and a vote of confidence in his reforms. Led by the president of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Babangida Onimisi, the youth said the decision was unanimous and aimed at consolidating what they called Tinubu's purposeful and impactful governance, while also pledging support for Ododo's second-term bid in 2028. APC leaders at the rally praised both leaders. Take note, APC leaders at the rally, because it was a rally, praised both leaders for policies they say have positively affected youth and grassroots communities. However, the endorsement comes amid controversy as the former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai alleged that President Bola Tinubu has been deducting 100 billion naira monthly from the federation account without approval, a practice he claims has lasted over 15 months and totaled 1.5 trillion naira, and actually says could warrant impeachment, raising fresh political tensions as the 2027 election cycle gradually takes shape. Let's watch this video.
Of young people who can think, young people who can judge results, young people who understand leadership. We have enjoyed free scholarships. We have enjoyed free healthcare. We have enjoyed free good infrastructural development in our various institutions. We are receiving our subvention as at when due. Our parents are being paid.
Wow, 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 wow. I need to drop this phone. Wow. Kudos to the youths. They have vision, foresight.
The youths. Yeah. They said they represent all the youths. It means he said he has enjoyed free education.
But they have a right to do that.
He has enjoyed free health care. He has enjoyed free everything.
So let's confirm that. So Kogi State youths, the youths in Kogi State, were asking
please tell us.
What is the situation like? It seems that there is.
It's like everything is working there.
It's a state of paradise in Kogi State, because I hear from what the youth representatives are saying that they've enjoyed free healthcare, they've enjoyed free education. So you people are balling in Kogi State. Please let us know so that we have to relocate from Lagos. Let's move to set up new central in Kogi State. But let's get what Nigerians are saying on X about this. So Kogi youths have 100 million naira, but can't use it to engage security personnel that will secure their state against terrorists. Must be nice.
Nigeria.
Next tweet, how would anyone believe this? All this is orchestrated by Yahaya Bello and the current governor. All they did was gather paid youths and said they donated 100 million naira. We know the game. There has been rumors that all NYC members were told to be at the venue compulsorily. Lugard Kogi says, this is how to know a good president. He doesn't even have 100 million naira to buy from. He has used all his money to pay tax and to bring Nigeria to the standard we deserve. Who are all these sarcastic people? Wow, rich kids. So Kogi youths now get money like this. Even me, the thing shocked me. I wish they could donate up to 1 trillion naira. They should sell their properties and increase in donations. And this would be helpful, you know, to help to supplement the budget. Actually, donating 100 million naira in this economy while Kogi is still figuring out basic infrastructure is a world-class flex. It's wild how we can never find money for scholarships or roads. But suddenly the bag appears for a nomination form that's already guaranteed. Is this a donation or a very loud down payment for a future appointment?
Wow.
Chris Oseme asked. And
Joe? I don't know. Maybe we can put the video again. The faces of those youths, the faces I saw, they look very happy. And they look like they have 100 million. They're rich.
No, this is the part of him speaking, the part of the audience. The youths in the audience, they look very, very...
those youths in the audience, fresh,
if we can fast forward it to the point where we see them sitting down. Yes, look at them.
I mean, you can pause this, please.
Pause.
Please.
100 million.
Pause it. See that guy. I mean...
But the truth is, excuse me, it doesn't show. You get 100 million, no, they show for face.
Yeah.
Let me go on YouTube and see what they're saying. 100 million sent v Mrs. Johnson. Thank you very much for the compliment. Faith Ebong says 100 million naira is 1,000 policemen's salary in a month. Is there a state in Nigeria that cannot pay this amount and even twice of it to police and military to protect its citizens? She goes ahead to say youth are giving 100 million naira to a sitting governor whose state treasury is in his pockets. Misplaced priority. Ochodi says Kogi youths swear. She the president of Senegal and their mates. She no agree me because I am from Kogi State. Hey, Oshodi, please. So that means everything you're saying or they're saying is not convincing.
Please, let's know.
For
those
true.
in Kogi, please send us messages.
Exactly. We want
Let us
to see.
know how Kogi is. If Kogi is...
Okay.
Anyway.
But let's move on to some positive news. An Asian man has recounted how the Nigerian Police Force Complaints Response Unit helped him recover 150,000 naira allegedly extorted from him by a police officer in Lagos. So it's bittersweet. After an incident that occurred on Friday night in the Ikeja area of the state. Speaking in a video circulating online, the man said he was traveling in a taxi with a friend to watch a football match when police officers stopped their vehicle on the bridge and demanded his passport and visa. Police is now immigration. Despite providing photo evidence of his legal residency, he alleged that officers became hostile, forcibly removed him from the car, threatened him, and compelled him to transfer the money to secure his release. He said he later reported the incident via email to the police complaints resource unit, attaching evidence during transfer records and visa documents, prompting a swift investigation that involved the Ikeja divisional police officer. According to him, the intervention led to an internal probe, and by Monday morning, the 150,000 naira was fully refunded to his bank. We have police, but they were clap for yourselves. So two things here. It's great that but anyway, let's take a look at the video and then I'll come back and share some thoughts.
I want to share actually some of my experience, what happened in Friday night. So actually at that time, I was with my friend. Actually, we are taking a Uber and we are going to see the football match because actually, you know, in the Africa Cup, the Nigeria match, Morocco, actually, in that time, actually you see, actually that time I'm on duty, so I missed about the match. I really want to know about the consequence of this match, so we chosen to go to a bar to see the match. But unfortunately, when we are passing a bridge in Ikeja, Lagos, so the officer actually stopping my Uber and want to check in about my passport and checking about the visa. But but actually at that time I do not take any passport on myself, so I have to let my staff to go to my bedroom and take the pictures for the police.
There you have it. That's the Asian man sharing his story, which I had already detailed. We just wanted you to hear it from the horse's mouth, to hear a snippet of it. But let's hear what Nigerians are saying, and after that I'll come and share thoughts. You can also share your thoughts on YouTube. You can imagine the disgrace every now and then. Let them keep it up, Ebonlua says. And next, I always wonder what happens to those police that get caught extorting people. Do the other officers start looking at them somehow, or is there a punishment of them, my dear? What happens after? Especially their relationship with other officers. This one says if it was in Nigeria, the Ikeja police will suddenly discover that he's an internet fraudster or a wanted criminal, and there will be a fight. And he will be shot, and suddenly 209 cartridges and bullets and 23 AK-47 will be found on him. The next tweet, I've said it countless times, if you're extorted or harassed by any police officer in any state, just call the police CRU number and tell them you want to report police misconduct. A lot of people that will say these things don't work, don't even know the police CRU exists, and a lot of them are illiterates or police officers. If there's any part of the government that works, then it's the police CRU. Why do they have to steal in the first place? Why do they have to extort? I are putting the blame on the people that need to call CRU. Next tweet. So since when police exactly? So since when police started to do immigration job? This country, outside the country, police is going to hand you over to the immigration for processing, which is very valid. That was my first thought. An average Nigerian gets extorted in millions on a daily basis, and nothing is done about it. The height of it all is the constant threat to shoot you if you don't comply. Funds retrieved, officers still in active service. Show me one person that has never been extorted by the Nigerian police force. And I would like to stop there and talk about the officers still in active service. There are two angles to look at this from. Yes, you can applaud the police for swiftly intervening and refunding the 150,000 naira. But the officer that did this, what happened to him? We keep saying that it's a national and a global embarrassment when we hear of cases of police extortion. And if we don't get to the point where we punish, and punishment will mean publicly shaming, publicly disowning the police, ensuring that they are sent out of the service. If they don't see that the consequences are very strong, this will continue. We're just going to keep moving around in circles and saying, no, he's been brought to the book, he's been investigated, he will face a police orderly, when what happens is they remove him from that zone and transfer him to another zone. We are not seeing the seriousness, the dedication from the police to clear the bad eggs within the Nigerian police.
Olive, is very sad that we're back again. Imagine asking for passport and visa. Are you immigration? And then you now say, give me money. You collected 150. I keep saying it and I'm going to say it again. We've designed a way to help the Nigerian police force. Create a website. When these ones are being apprehended, you send them to orderly trial and so on. Disassociating them or dismissing them. Put their pictures there.
Say this is to publicly announce that so-and-so person, as a result of committing fraud, is no longer a member of the Nigerian police.
When the others see that, my colleagues are being dismissed and publicly announced as not being associated with the Nigerian police force, it will start to help even the Nigerian police force to rebrand its image and get itself set properly. But if all these things are not done, maybe one day they will stop the governor and tell him, give us something, or where's your passport? Let's have it. Well, that's where we can't put anything
past them. Let's share our headlines this morning. Still keep the comments coming on YouTube and we'll take them during the show. But for now, let's share what our top stories this morning are. Our top stories this morning: President Tinubu begins Turkey state visit for bilateral talks. And still looking at the political fronts pages, we're seeing Governor Yusuf defects to APC with 22 states, 9 lawmakers. Governor Soludo orders closure of Onitsha main market for 1 week over sit-at-home defiance. They're not taking it lightly. JAMB scraps privileges for candidates living with albinism. And we're bringing you the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Join us for all these and more. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has officially dumped the new Nigeria People's Party (NNPP) and they, moved and rejoined the All Progressives Congress (APC). Now, he didn't go alone, as he was joined by 22 members of the Kano State House of Assembly, including the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Majority Leader, and other top-ranking lawmakers. This many have described as a full-scale political migration. The timing, they say, is critical with just over a year to the 2027 general elections. Could this move tilt the scales in the north and possibly nationally? What happens to the Kwankwasia movement? Well, we're joined this morning by a political analyst. I will be introducing him shortly, but let's take a look at this video.
We also appreciate the former Deputy Governor of Kano State and former Minister of State for Housing, Alhaji Abdullahi Tijani Mahmoud. To also appreciate the Chairman of the APC, Alhaji Abdullahi Abbas, Senator Abdullah Abdurrahman Kawu Sumaila, Honorable Alhaji Adu Luguma, Honorable Kabiru Rurun, Honorable Abubakar Kabir Abubakar Bichi, Honorable Murtala Sumangaru, Honorable Jome, and all members of the National Assembly that have joined this party with me. To also appreciate others like Dora and the Honorable Ino Ibrahim, Professor Hafiza.
Well, many have described Governor Yusuf's defection as an act of betrayal against his principal, former Governor and Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, whose movement, the Kwankwasia Group, brought the Kano governor into power in the 2023 general elections.
Well, that's not just all. Many have said that it's a case of, even Kwankwasia movement says it's really a case of betrayal. But we do have our guest who's joining us. Let's bring in political analyst Zari Yusuf, who joins us this morning. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Just last week, we were talking to the spokesperson to the NNPP, and we did ask what it felt like knowing that the governor and one who is very close to the Kwankwasia movement and to the man Kwankwaso is leaving the party and now moving to APC. And he said, well, it's his choice. It didn't really feel that much bad. But with the news we're seeing recently, the updates, we can see that Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso is not happy with that move, calling it an act of betrayal. Can you give us an update on what it really feels like, especially for those who have been supporting the NNPP as a political analyst? What do you think this means?
The only people with, I think, the moral ground to feel betrayed would be the people of Kano, not that spokesperson of the NNPP and not Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. I do not think I am one of those that will fall for that trick. If you have a good understanding of who the governor of Kano is, being a protege of Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, and how basically it's a matter of Kwankwaso saying jump and he says how high. I am not one of those that believe he betrayed Kwankwaso or the party. I just think it's just a political strategy. The man Kwankwaso is a powerful politician, and from his utterances in the past couple of weeks saying the preconditions for him to join the APC would have to be the interest of his people, I mean government in Kano, his political future, and all of that. It does appear he is in a position where he can't just jump ship because of either pride or some form of ego. So what better way to come to the APC than first of all sending his protege and acting as if the protege betrayed him and all of that. So the only people that can say they were betrayed by that would be the people of Kano who stood with the Konkosia movement. But for Konkoso to say he felt betrayed, I do not think it's a betrayal. I think it is his preliminary measures towards the campaign to the APC. And that basically is it. He may actually officially decamp or not, but I don't think there was any decision by the governor of Kano that was a betrayal to Konkoso. They are all together in it. I see it as a political gimmick anyway.
So all of this is an act to you. The question now is, if Konkoso has sent Abba Kabiru Yusuf ahead of him as his forerunner to go and test run the APC and, you know, sort of see how things go before he comes, what's in it for Kwankwaso? Bear in mind that he had said he's only willing to move to a party where he'd either be given the presidential ticket or the vice presidential ticket. Does this mean that he's hoping that the president will kick the current VP away and have him replaced by, you know, Kwankwaso?
The statement is a very wide one. It could be that to appeal to the APC. It could be that to appeal to any other party who would say, well, looking at the base of the Konkosia movement in Kano and a couple of other parts of that, you know, geopolitical region, well, since it's what he's looking for, we might do a little with either the presidential ticket or the VP slot. Talking about other parties like the ADC and all of, you know, possibly ADC primarily, you know, at least one of the coalitions that does look like it's going to put up a fight in the 2027 election. So I think it's a political strategy. And, well, it's working well for him because to a large extent, it does look like, well, if his protege has joined the party, then we could do a little more and get him over. So it's credibility, it's his street credibility he's adding. I would give it to him, he's a smart politician. Like I said, I don't really think the governor's move is anything we can say is a betrayal to Konkoso. So what's in it for him is that it has increased his political capital, either in the APC, because more like have a taste of what you are likely going to get if you do, basically you give me what I want. Or another party could be, well, already taking a step towards another direction, let's quickly grab him. So he's just buying more political capital for himself. That's all. So
just to confirm again, like this is maybe a second part to my initial question. Is there a likely possibility, because this was a conversation that happened some years back, and I remember there was an uproar against this, but is there a possibility that the current VP will be replaced by Kwankwaso? Does he have that level of influence, do you believe?
The replacement of the current VP, frankly speaking, cannot be, if he would be replaced, cannot be by another Northern Muslim. I would need to keep that straight with you. One of the first casualties of this security challenge that we are currently facing, the involvement of, you know, the US and all of that, the first casualty of that is the Muslim ticket. Reason being, the dimension of a whole lot of things, security-wise, has not given so much room for trust, especially in other parts of the country. So if the APC wants to demonstrate some measure of commitment to a point where there is a replacement of the VP, you know, Shetima, it would likely be to pick another candidate, but definitely it could come from the northern part of the country, but most likely not a Muslim. So I do not see Kwankwaso, there is not so much he will bring to the table that Shetima has not brought or will not bring, or any other strong Muslim candidate from the northern part of the country would bring. So his coming to the APC cannot be to change Shetima. He would pull his weight, you know, very much as he could. But I do not see the APC actually picking him up as a vice presidential candidate, because he's not actually bringing anything to them that Shetima will not bring. The difference will not be much. So most likely he's doing that to gain some form of other forms of influence in terms of appointments and all of that, or maybe, like I said, to increase his political capital in terms of his chances on another platform, such as the ADC.
This move has caused a lot of ripples, especially within the NNPP. Are we starting to see another political party go down in terms of the death of the NNPP? Or do you think there's a way the NNPP can still revive itself and get back on track?
I think it marks the end of the NNPP. Let me put it this way. The NNPP is a stronger version of the smaller parties that usually put up candidates, run for office, and then at a certain point in time, they hold a meeting and say, well, we sat down and agreed, and we are turning in our structure, our support base, supporters, our followers to so-and-so candidate and all of that. So the NNPP, from the onset, I actually thought if it had survived this particular season and put up a fight in 2027, then it would actually look like a party to contend with. But looking at what has just happened, I think it marks the end of it. Basically, it's a structure that was put in place to bargain for power, but a very powerful structure. But actually, this marks the end of it. That's just all I'm going to say to that question.
When you say that, this is political gimmick, it's a political strategy and acting at its very best, but do the people of Kano see it that way? Do they understand it to be political strategy? Don't they also feel heartbroken? I mean, remember when Governor Kabiru Yusuf won the elections, he was almost in tears, almost needing to thank Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. So are they not seeing it on, from their perspective as some level of betrayal? How are they seeing it?
Yeah, that's why from the onset, my response was that the only people with the moral ground to feel betrayed are the people of Kano. The people of Kano. They walked for that party. They defended their mandate. They were there all day, all night. They came out, not necessarily reading. They voted massively. So yes, whatever games the governor, his master, and their followers are playing is a betrayal of the people of Kano. And it's a stark reminder to the people of Nigeria that although we have very powerful and revered political leaders, but at every point in time, their interest would always go ahead or far above, will be prioritized far above the interest of the masses. That basically is it. So yes, people of Kano have been stabbed in the back. They have been betrayed by the people they trusted. And that's why I said that has marked the end of the NNPP. And whatever it is, so I just hope that whatever it is they are pulling pays them off. Otherwise, they are just like any other politicians of the past in Kano henceforth. Because at least I know what the people of Kano are capable of doing.
Also, I want us to talk about the role of the immediate past chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje. He was on ground to welcome Yusuf Kabir back to the APC and assuring him that they have decided that they will throw their support behind him in his 2027 election bid and that he will come back into power. There's been the conversation about the relationship between Ganduje and Kwankwaso. So what do you think the impact of, what is Ganduje's role in all of this?
Well, Ganduje is a politician that I think his role in it is much of that of an individual that doesn't have so much options. One, I would see it as his way of trying to extend a handshake to Kwankwaso, because I see the governor of Kano as he is a bridge sort of between two of them. Just the way, like I said, outrightly, Kwankwaso is not jumping ship into the APC, but his protege is going ahead. It's the same way the welcome of Ganduje to that. A lot of the things that have been happening, especially the decampings to the APC, is just the politicians who, to a large extent, I don't really see them as so much of enemies. It's just that at certain points in time, when their interests do not lie, they look like, well, we've got principles we're holding on to, we've got ideologies, and I don't agree with you, so our paths won't cross. But they are not exactly like that. Ganduje himself and the governor of Kano are all people that I'd say owe a lot of their political careers to Rabiu Musa Konkosu. So I don't really see that as something that defines a deepening of the whatever rift might appear to have been between him and Konkosu. In time, I see them all coming back in the same basket and continuing the same thing they've been doing. That basically is how see that, especially for Ganduje, who I think has lost so much of whatever political goodwill he has, whether in Kano at a state or the national level. He doesn't actually have an option. He would have to be a friend at some point, either through welcoming the governor who has just decamped, or hoping for Konkosu to join the band at some point.
Okay. I mean, my final question to you would definitely be, is there any clarity regarding what the next steps could be, especially looking at the fact that, I mean, we've agreed that the NNPP is now looking like a party that will be on its own, not having a stronghold of Kano State, even though we do know that Rabiu Kwankwaso has a very strong following, but now the state belongs to the APC. And if you look at the map, we've seen that the APC states are starting to become very strong, taking all over the entire country, as it were. Taking a hold of Kano State, what does this mean for the next election? What will it mean for the next election in 2027?
Well, I don't know if I'd say the APC is taking a hold of many places. You know, we talk a lot about the campaign, something looking like we're heading towards a one state, problem. You see, there is a build-up of a very ruthless dictatorship that is coming, and we keep using political terms to describe them. Most of these people decamping are not people who decamp based on any form of ideology or whatsoever. Over 90% of them actually don't have an option. And that's what we are looking at. Because whether it's actually going to turn out that way or not, a lot of these politicians believe the only way they can guarantee a political future for themselves is to jump into the APC. Because to a large extent, they have seen the template of Rivers State has demonstrated clearly to every state governor that we are in a dictatorship. In other words, somebody could wake up in the morning in Aso Rock after a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and appoint a military administrator in your state, and there's nothing you could do about it. The judiciary is already dealt with. So if I would use the word reasonable governor, especially such that is not very sure of his support base or who he is as an individual politically, will always find himself into the APC. But there is a bit of a problem in Kano because the people of Kano have a mind of their own. I don't really know them to be people that easily yield to political manipulations, especially from the center. A lot. They are prone to basically becoming militant when it comes to defending their mandate, which is a very commendable thing. And that is why the NNPP is there. And so his decamping in Kano may not necessarily change so much. It would weaken the base of the NNPP, but it's not so much of a guarantee for him come 2027. Like I said, when I look at 2027, between now and what plays out then, is an unfortunate consolidation of a very, very ruthless dictatorship. And I must say this to you, that it's unfortunate Nigeria is taking, every day it is taking the form of a francophone country. When I say a francophone country, I'm giving you an example of what played out in countries like Cameroon, where you have the Paul Bias, and then the Sahel countries where it took the military to give some form of democratic look to the country, because it looks as if once some people get into power in such countries, they could be there for decades. And I fear if Nigeria is not, if Nigerians do not wake up to that responsibility, this party we call the APC, that just looks like, oh, people are saying reasons to join the party. Okay. It will likely put Nigeria into such an unfortunate situation. All right.
Thank you so much, political analyst Zari Yusuf, for joining us this morning to take a look into the APC and the NNPP there in Kano State with the latest move by the governor. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Let's tell you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central. Coming up next for the second hour, we'll take a look at Governor Soludo as he orders closure of Onitsha main market for 1 more week. JAMB scraps privileges for, we'll talk about the candidate as well and what it means. And stay with us as the FCT will be a direction we'll head to.
Anambra State Governor Charles Soludo has ordered the closure of the iconic Onitsha main market for 1 week. His reason? Traders defied the state's directive to ignore the outlawed IPOB's Monday sit-at-home order. Security agencies have sealed the market, and the governor has warned that the closure could be extended if traders continue to comply with the sit-at-home.
The governor called it economic sabotage and a quiet rebellion against the state authority. This development raises more questions about governance, fear, and the power vacuum in the southeast. Who really controls the streets? Is it the elected leaders or non-state actors? But let's take a look at this video.
Shops locked up. I've peeped inside. A few persons here and there. Okay? Anyone who has not opened, for main market, of all markets, to be shut down. I know that people have done this sit at home on Mondays for quite some time now. And as they say, an abomination that lasts a year becomes culture. No. This can no longer go on in Anambra. Are you hearing me? And I will tell you this. You either decide that you want to trade here or you can go elsewhere. This main market, if you don't want it to open, I'll come and take bulldozer and level it. And I'm very, very serious about it. I'm not joking. Going forward, any Monday, any shop that is not open will be locked for 1 week. And let me tell you this. As I'm speaking to you now, when I finish this whole main market and all the adjoining these things will be locked down for the whole of this week. There will be no market anywhere here. Each Monday will come. If people are not in their respective shops, it will be shut down again. If you like, I don't mind shutting down the market for the remainder of this year. We're not going to allow this. It's plain economic sabotage. And also, we suspect whoever closes their shop to have some criminal intent.
Well, you heard the governor there. Joining us for this discussion is the former publicity secretary of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Chief Alex Ogbonna. Thank you so much for joining us, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me start off by asking, what's your take on that video by the governor, giving a clear warning that anyone who fails to lock or open his shop on Monday, especially starting from next week, he would shut down the market space, possibly even telling them that he would do that for the rest of the year. First of all, what's your take?
Yeah, for His Excellency Dr. Professor Soludo to go to this extent is because he have been urging them to stop the sit at home, especially on Mondays in Anambra. The same thing happened.
Well, Chief Ogbonna, I'm afraid we seem to have network connectivity challenges there. So we hope that you can reconnect with us so we can hear your thoughts, especially what you think. And what are the chiefs saying, especially members of the Ohanaeze Ndigbo? Well, let's find out if he's able to join us once again. Chief Obuna, are you there?
Sure.
Are you there?
I've shifted the position.
Okay, all right, great. So go ahead with your response. You were talking about...
So what I was saying is that State have been able to overcome that challenge. Enugu has been able to overcome that similar challenge. And Soludo have been urging them not to go on with the sit-at-home on Mondays. But it's like they've been talking to deaf ears. So the measure they are taking now is like a signal to what is likely to happen if they continue to comply with sit-at-home on Mondays. But the fact remains, it's not that the trader want to sit at home on Monday. It is because non-state actors take on the advantage trying to compel people to stay at home on Mondays. Ordinarily, most people do not want to observe the sit-at-home on Mondays. But you see non-state actors trying to compel people to stay at home on Mondays. So that is the issue. So as far as I'm concerned, Onitsha have been the economic nerve center of the whole Eastern region, if not the whole West Africa, for a very long time. Anything that disrupts Onitsha market is like a sabotage to the economy of not only Onitsha or Anambra, but the entire Southeast. So what Soludo is doing is in order.
Okay, so the question now is, if there's been the declaration that the sit-at-home order be officially lifted, have there been structures that have been put in place to guarantee the safety and the security of citizens? Because all the arguments we hear is that there is fear, there's palpable fear that if people go to work on Mondays, and we've seen it in time past, where citizens will go to work on Monday or they open their stalls and they would either be vandalized or they'll be hurt. So what has been put in place to guarantee their safety and their security?
Yeah, the point is that when greatest number, that is to say, when 99% of the people are found in their shops, the chances are that the enforcers may not come. But when you have people scarcely complying, when you have most people comply with this at home, it's easier for the enforcers. But when 99% of people comply with the Soludo's directives, it will not be easy for the enforcers to come into the market to compel people against the governor's directive. So we are all worried that what is happening, the sit-at-home every Monday, is not necessary. And as a matter of fact, the leader of the IPOB had even given a directive that there shouldn't be any sit-at-home on his behalf, on behalf of IPOB. But because of these non-state actors, that has been the problem. So what Soludo has done is he is in the right direction.
Okay, if he says in the right direction, the governor himself, while he was coming to the market space, he did come with his convoy. Behind him, you find security men, you find bodyguards, you find police officers. But the people of Anambra State who have their shops there, they don't have the security details guarding them and walking around with them. So do you think it is right that the governor should go ahead and put out this mandate, this directive that they must come out on Monday? What will happen? I mean, we've seen it in the past. You can clarify too that even when they try to defy these orders, this sit-at-home Monday, some persons had their lives taken. Some were shot, some were attacked. So who is going to protect them now that the governor is giving this directive? Or has he put security men on ground?
In the issue that governor came with security, that's official protocol. That's an entirely different ballgame. But like I told you, anything you talk security is a collective responsibility. That is security. For instance, assume that 99% of people comply like the main market was before. When we have 99 people in place, it's difficult for any person to begin to enforce it at home. But when you find porosity in terms of scarcity of people in the market, it's easy for the enforcers to have their way. So what I'm telling you is that by the time you have 99% or 100% compliance with directives of the governor of Anambra, the issue of enforcer will be gone. It has happened in Ebonyi State, it happened in Enugu, and it is just the same thing. As a matter of fact, when you look at the background of IPOB, there's no thing. We all know that it was Buhari that heightened the IPOB activism. How did they heighten it? Buhari came with marginalization of the Southeast. And IPOB was saying, Instead of continuing to marginalize us, allow us to go. That was what the IPOB was saying. When it was the turn of the Southeast to police the president, there was object conspiracy theories against the Southeast. IPOB would say, allow the Igbo to go. That was the thing. And we said, okay, you know, Hanese, why don't you bring in IPOB for discussion on the table? And we discuss all these things and know why they are grievances. If you can bring the bandits for a discussion, bring Boko Haram for a discussion, bring all terms of terrorism for a discussion, why can't you bring in IPOB for discussion on the table for us to iron out some of these things? So the background of IPOB is highly political, based on migration of the people of the Southeast. But in spite of that, we do not encourage the violence component of it. That is what we disagree with. And especially the violence comes in more when some of them are trying to enforce the sit-at-home of Mondays. And that is where the component of the violence we're opposed to. But the agitation there was in order because of the treatment given to the Southeast at that time. So it is that background that drives sentiments in favor of IPOB. But in spite of that, we have often told them that when you talk of Biafra now, Biafra is supposed to be of the mind. Biafra of the mind, Biafra of the economy, Biafra of strategy, not Biafra of violence, not Biafra of making noise everywhere. As if people don't have people to respect. And they must be considering the future of our children when they are doing some of these things.
All right.
So we have urged, as Ohaneze, we have urged IPOB to take it easy. We have urged, in fact, all those people talking about Biafra, take it easy. The issue of Biafra has gone over 50 years ago. And we must have a entirely different approach to the Igbo survivor, Igbo nationalism, not all this kind of recklessness we find among some of our people sometimes. But finally, we are, Ohaneze is in support. I'm not the spokesman of Ohaneze now, but I know we have a central philosophy. So, we are in support.
Chief, the question is, if the governor says that civil servants must work on Monday and that their salaries will be prorated, one will understand because the civil servants are working for the government. But the market people are private individuals, and some would argue that they have a right to decide that they do not want to, they want to rest one day a week. For example, here in Lagos, I know of certain businesses, salons for example, that would work all through the weekend, and as a result, they take Monday off. So how do we find that thin line between the governor trying to ensure that he outlaws a certain order, which he probably does not, which he definitely does not agree with, and respecting citizens' rights to freedom of choice? Business people should be able to decide if they want to go to work or not. Don't you agree?
The point that we all know how this sit-at-home started. There's no need changing all this revisionism. It's not necessary because the story is very clear. How IPOB came to this point, how sit-at-home evolved is clear to everybody. So it is very clear that these people are trying to the sit-at-home is as a result of IPOB agitation. So it's no matter of choice. Like I've told you, I live in the East, I live in any person who is sitting at home on Monday, it's not because he likes to sit at home, but he's only scared of the enforcers, that they may be wounded and things like that. That is what is happening. Not they are happy. But now, what I'm saying that if a person comes to the street at the same time, if a person comes to the market at the same time, if the market is full all at the same time, if all the civil servants they engage the streets at the same time, it will be difficult for the enforcer. That is what we are saying. And when you talk about choice, it's not choice. It's a matter of fact they are scared of their lives, and that's why they stay at home. That is the position. It's not a matter of their choice. And of course, you must know that activity in the market and all over Anambra is still part of the governance. When you talk of governance, not government, but governance. When the sectors are working well, that is when the government is working well.
Chief, in 30 seconds, since you are saying that as a result, we're trying to see numbers. Chief, if you can hear me, you're saying that the larger the number of people that show up, the harder it will be for the enforcers of sit at home. So what I'm asking is, the level of security, is there a guarantee from the government that if citizens return to the market on Monday, they will not be hurt? Or are they going to do there's a guarantee?
I've explained it 3 times, and I'm about to explain it again. When all of them come out at the same time, security is collecting responsibility. It will be difficult for the enforcers to begin to act. But when you have people sparsely or scarcely attending to their business, it will be easier for enforcers. So there will be security from the state. There at the same time, each person is a security unto himself. Each person is a security.
So you're shifting the burden of protecting. So that's my issue. My issue there is, if you're telling people to come out en masse because the larger the people showing up, the harder it will be for the enforcement. You're shifting the responsibility of securing lives and citizens from the government to the citizens. And no citizen, for example, if I was certain or if I wasn't sure that going out would be safe for me, I would not go out. I'm not going to risk myself because there's an assumption that if many people came out, they won't be able to hurt us. The government should be able to guarantee that there will be security to the extent that no Anambra citizen will lose their life because they are going to work.
That is implied. Of course, it's implied. Government will do everything to make sure that guarantee is there. So it's implied in the directive.
Okay. Thank you so much, former Publicity Secretary of Highness Indibo, Chief Albino, for speaking with us. Thank you. Thank you for your time. All right, away from that story, let's still stay in Anambra, but this time let's give you a detailed account. All right, the southeast region of Nigeria has for 5 years lived through the most excruciating economic woes amid the mandatory weekly holiday, otherwise known as sit-at-home, which is observed every Monday, promulgated by non-state actors. Now, while efforts by the political class to bring the practice to a halt has yielded some noticeable results, News Central's Chinwe Ogele in this report looks at how the sit-at-home has drastically impacted the region. Take a look.
Everybody is welcome to trade in Anambra, but if you must trade here, you must abide by the rules. And the rules are that markets are open Monday to Saturday. If you are not prepared to open your shops Monday to Saturday, then leave Anambra and go to elsewhere.
Many say this pronouncement might have been made out of frustration over the weekly loss of revenue due to the Monday sit-at-home order. The Anambra situation of Monday market closure is replicated in Aba as the Ariaria International Market, Ekonha Shopping Center, and other popular markets become shadows of themselves on any such day. The traders in Anambra State say they are willing to resume Monday trading, showing their own frustrations, even as other activities are carried out without molestations.
We can only come by ourselves, especially most of us who have personal vehicles. But we can't see transporters. And again, banking industry are not open for business. Where do we lodge in our cash? Where do we withdraw for this business?
Monday sit-at-home is not affecting us. We are coming out. But the problem that we are having is that no customers is coming. But we traders are coming to trade.
Life in Omahia, the Abia State capital, has since returned to normal, causing residents to wonder why some people would still want to keep up with the holiday order.
There are some people that are engrossed in this sit-at-home of a thing, and one thing with people of Aba is that once they start something, they would like to continue it. It's a kind of changing the set of Saturday, Sunday to Sunday, Monday instead. So me personally, I don't like it. I would like them to stop it.
The more you start home, the more you lose businesses. You understand me? And the Abians are known for their hard work. Sitting at home, you sit at home. That's why we get the money to pay our bills. People should be encouraged to come out and do their businesses.
Owerri and parts of Imo State used to be a deadly enclave where residents feared to step out on Mondays, but the situation seems to have changed.
We're sitting at home because we don't have a choice. And again, that time, if you come out, it's very risky. They will just come and start acting. So we were like, for our safety. But as we are sitting at home, we are not benefiting anything. So we had to come out.
We love to observe it because it is one of our respect to the leader who is fighting for the betterment of Igbos. Well, instead of you to stay at home and die in hunger, you have to come out and do your business.
Sit-at-home is not well strong again like before. You know, like before, you can't see more crowd in the school premises.
While Enugu adjusted earlier to correcting the anomaly, Ebonyi State still complies largely with the order. According to Governor Chukwuma Soludo, absconding from duty posts on Monday is no longer accepted in the state.
If we come on Monday and it is locked and any shop is not, we'll lock it for 1 month.
But how legal are his actions and policies? Analysts say Residents can only flout the sit-at-home order if the government assures them of their protection. In Abia for News Central, Chinwe Ugeli.
Welcome back. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has cancelled special registration concessions previously granted to candidates with albinism, citing widespread abuse of the policy through identity manipulation and examination malpractice. The decision was announced in Lagos during a meeting between JAMB management led by Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede and Commissioners for Education from the 36 states and the FCT ahead of the 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. According to Professor Oloyede, some candidates allegedly used artificial intelligence and other means to falsely present themselves as persons with albinism in order to benefit from special consideration, with over 7,000 candidates claiming albinism in the previous examination year. As a result, JAMB has discontinued special registration procedures for albinism candidates.
The registrar also addressed broader integrity issues in the admission process, including undergraduates sitting UTME for others, underage admissions, deceptive practices by some faith-based institutions, and efforts to curb malpractice through stricter accreditation of CBT centers. Now, JAMB maintains that the move is necessary to protect the credibility of the examination process. The decision has raised concerns about its implications for candidates with albinism who face genuine visual and health-related challenges in standardized testing environments. Joining us to discuss this further as the founder of the Albino Foundation Africa is joining us in the studio for the very first time.
Doctor.
Welcome, Mr. Cheque. Good to have you here.
Okay. Well, we started as the Albino Foundation.
Yes.
We've transited because now we serve a wider community of persons with disability, and so we changed our name to TAF Africa.
Great.
I don't usually like to explain what that stands for, but I will.
Please do.
Because this is one of my favorite channels. Other channel, please don't hear this. It's the All Right Foundation, TAF Africa, All Right Foundation. We're beginning to have a footprint in some other African countries, So that said, first of all, I think I want to put this across. I am a person with albinism, and I'm very proud to be a person with albinism. That said, the concession which individuals like me with several organizations fought for is now in trouble. And ironically, I was the chair of the committee that investigated, and we flagged this issue of people trying to use our face because some biological reasons, biometrics, like there are certain cameras when they take my photograph, if you watch the photograph, you see a red dot in my eyes. So because of our issues with our retina, there's certain light elements that we rebuff. So that gives these fraudsters the opportunity to actually take my face, blend it with another person's face, and get completely a different individual, maintaining the facial structure. That's just a common man explanation of what is happening. And they've been exploiting this using the faces of persons with albinism. And so JAMB did the right thing by, it's not a cancellation per se, it's a suspension of the concession so that at the back end we will identify who is truly a person with albinism, and the person eventually will get the concession one way or the other.
So it's more like a suspension pending conclusion of an investigation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in touch with Professor Oloyede, and we are talking to make sure that we have a criteria that any person with albinism can follow. And once he's then identified as a person with albinism, he gets the concession. The concessions are much more than what you're seeing.
Yes, what are these concessions?
Yeah. Okay, so there are fees concession attached to it. For instance, I belong to what they call Equal Opportunity Group, JOG, which conducts examination not only for persons with albinism, but for persons with disability. And that's a good work that often is not often talked about. You know, the fact that JAMB has a special examination day centers for persons with disability. And JAMB will pay for them to come in, put them in a hotel, give them the best of food, give them gift, just for them to participate in that examination. Now, many of us who are invigilators are paid honorarium. You know, sometimes in the context of honorarium, some honorarium don't have honor, but that's not what I'm saying. Sometimes we need to laugh off these things. So what I'm saying is, even at that, for instance, the issue of time and a half, which has not been, many of the examiners are not practicing it. The time and a half concept is a global concept that says if there's an examination, if a person with albinism or visually impaired person is taking that examination, if the examination is for 1 hour, that person will have 1 hour 30 minutes. It's a time and a half concept that's been there from time River, they say. You understand? Yeah. So apart from those special examination, having access to those special examination, there's a return on some of the fees. There is also something that Oloyede personally will do. Once you go through and you're able to pass your exam, Prof and many of us will painstakingly ensure that you get admission, provided, because we promote meritocracy, yeah, provided you are able to meet and surpass the cutoff mark, we will ensure that you get admission. And then there's also a follow-through as you are in the university or any tertiary institution. We just follow through to make sure you are getting access that you require. Take for instance, I'm at loggerhead, and I'm sure Mr. Sawyer is listening to me, with NEL Fund. NEL Fund gives loan to a blind candidate, will not give any form of loan or support services to the aid. How will the person go to school? How? If you give me loan and I cannot see, and you don't give the person that will lead me to the school, invariably, I will take the money and put it somewhere else. I won't go to school. You know. So sometimes I think government policymakers and implementers need to listen. I put this information, I have written to NEL Fund. I have copies of the letter that I wrote. I spoke to Mr. Sawyer. Granted, he admitted that, yes, something can be done, but they are not prioritizing it. And I think that needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. If you send a person with albinism to school, by the way, you know, guys, there are times I saw you and you have to like introduce yourself again to me. Absolutely. Yeah. So I do struggle, despite the glasses which don't help us. This sort of protects me from light. Okay. Yeah. So we do have challenges. So if I'm going to school, only if I'm not able to read that, what is on your screen, I'm not able. Like you sat here and you were reading teleprompter. I can't. So I have to leave either with hearing you, memorizing the tone of your voice, and responding to what you say. You know, I do have some technology that I can use, but if I open it, I have to squint and bury my eyes into it to be able to read it. These are some of the challenges. So when you give a loan to persons with albinism and you're not giving him anything he needs, when I set up my computer, I set it up in such a way that there's a lifter that brings it up to my eyes. And that's me. And that's because I can afford that. What about the common man? What about the person whose parents is looking for 1 square meal? He can't afford that. So when you're giving such loan, you have to strategically think of the support services that you provide so that the person that you're trying to help will enjoy the help and make the most of it. The most vulnerable in our society must not be forgotten, and that's why it is important that every time there's a policy, I've done 7 policies for this country, every time there's a policy, we need to sit down and ensure that the people you're making policies for are in the room. Because you don't know what I feel, you don't know my challenges until you start asking questions, until you start engaging, until you allow me to be part of the process. So there's so many issues that policymakers sit in the room with their air condition and their suits, and they don't know that you're making policies to the people that you don't even know what they feel and how they will handle issues. So these are some of the things. The concessions is not absolutely removed.
It's just paused.
It's just paused so that the wrong people will not take advantage of it. Okay. If you know Oluyede is one of the most compassionate Nigerians that I know. Please, I don't work for him. I'm just stating the truth, and that's it.
All right. I mean, from a disability rights perspective, you've already highlighted what the challenges are. But for those who are watching and those who are listening now, would you say that this decision aligns with the commitment to have an inclusive education?
Oh yeah, it looks a bit maybe discriminatory in the surface. But that's not the intention, and that's not what we'll achieve. I can tell you that. The idea is to ensure that the wrong people will not take advantage of a right policy. Once the system is put in place to checkmate that, then we will achieve inclusion than the exclusive menace that we are seeing today, where people are taking advantage of a good policy to ensure that the people that policy is made for will not partake of it. Yeah.
Okay. So what measures will then be put in place? How are we ensuring that the right people are the ones who will have access to these services? I know you said it's temporarily paused. There's investigation. Is there maybe like a directory? Is there what are the steps that are being taken?
Smart question. Smart question. Now here's the thing. I started this organization 20 years ago, and so I've entrenched system. I have leadership at the grassroots. I've raised people. So what we're doing currently is pull back and engage systematically. There is the Commission for Persons with Disability. Okay. There is an organization, a parallel organization which I started called Albinism Association of Nigeria. They're well structured because I handed over several branches across the country to them. I'm getting old, so I pull back for the younger ones.
The next generation.
Yes, for the younger ones to continue. And I'm very proud of the work that they are doing. So these are organizations with systems that we can check. The issue with persons with albinism is very easy. If you have albinism, number one, you have a visible presence of lack of melanin. Two things makes you a person with albinism. One is ocular. That means you do have lack of melanin. And I'm choosing my word lack. Lack does not mean absence. It's insufficient. Okay, so you do have insufficient melanin. Melanin is the chemical composition that is responsible for coloration. It's not only for skin, and that's why God is an awesome God. It's not only responsible for skin, it's everything in you. It is melanin that is responsible for the color of your blood. And like I said, Olive, as pretty as you are and handsome as you are, we're all the same. Why? Under our skin runs the same color of blood. God is an awesome God. We are the same. So because of this lack of melanin, you're ocular, even if you have a black hair, but you have a routing eyes. That's ocular. The other one is a V grammar. I'm going to try and break it down. It's called oculocutaneous. Ocular, cutaneous, defective, so to speak, eyes, or eyes with a condition, and a skin with a condition. I wasn't born with freckles on my skin. I acquired freckles because as I expose myself in the sun has a way of forcing a pseudomelanin. So it produces on my skin as black spot called freckles. Now it's not that dangerous, but it can be for those of them who are exposing themselves in the sun. You never see me without a hat. I'm trying to cover my face that has already been destroyed by the sun, So obviously when you have albinism, you're either ocular or oculocutaneous. Do you need a soothsayer to know that I'm a person with albinism? It's there. So we will follow physical examination of albinism. We will follow scientific examination of albinism, so your eyes can be tested, if you claim to have that. And then, of course, we can also follow track records. What is it that you've done? If for instance, if you tell me you have albinism, and I'm suspicious that you don't have albinism, I just open this and say, please read this for me. And you read from that distance and I say, let's close the book, please go back, you don't have albinism.
So if I hear you correctly, there's also in terms...
And there are also medical procedure to find out one who have albinism.
Thank you for detailing this. Just to clarify, I know that just like you've mentioned, there are people who don't have complete albinism. There are those who it's maybe the color of their hair that is affected and maybe not the other parts. Do they benefit from these concessions? Having
albinism is not a status per se. It is a biological condition, all right? So if you're an ocular means it's only your eyes that is affected. So you still have albinism, Now, here's the shocking thing, Holly, because you can be as dark as you are and still have the albinism gene.
Yes.
And it's just waiting for manifestation because it's recessive. So it jumps from one generation to the other. I have 3 beautiful kids. 36-year-old son, see I'm an old man, and 30-year-old daughter, and a loving 8-year-old boy who troubles me, who thinks I'm his mate. He says, Daddy, you must call me Judah, my prince, and he calls me Daddy, my king.
Yes.
Lovely boy, smart. So the point I'm trying to make here is, for the category of people we're trying to deal with, you're ocular or oculocutaneous. There must be that feature in you that qualifies you to benefit from this, So if you are the way you are with your good eyes, yet you probably gave birth to a person with albinism, you're not qualified. You're not qualified. You carry the gene, but the gene did not come into manifestation. So you can still use your eyes. Your skin doesn't really stop you from going to the sun. But I want to also put a caveat. Even when the manifestation is not in you, be careful. Because if you are a gene carrier and your gene is positive, you can still pick up skin cancer. I'm a skin cancer survivor. There's another manifestation right now that I'm treating on my leg. It is damn too expensive to treat. So we need to continue as much as possible to do the right thing, to protect ourselves, to ensure that this concession that is meant for these most vulnerable are not exploited by those who are not that vulnerable, who should be able to do something for themselves and leave those that are marginalized to enjoy this concession.
All right. Marginalized and also enjoying the concession. I mean, those two things, we can put them in one context. For those who are enjoying it and those who want to take advantage of it, now it has been, as it were, put on pause. Any direction on when it will be resumed?
Well, it will. It's almost, in fact, before this cycle is over, it will be resumed. But what we are trying to do is take a back seat, work from the back end, and ensure that the right people will benefit from it. And once that is done, maybe one of the thoughts that just crossed my mind now is to work ahead of time. We're not going to wait until the policy or the implementation is activated. We're going to begin to scrutinize whoever that wants to be, or maybe they will pass through the association, and I want to say categorically that I know that the association will not put any criteria. So it's not like, oh, you have to register, you have to pay. No, it's absolutely free. And I will also use this opportunity to appeal to JAMB to support the association, in the way of building their capacity, helping them to have a structure, giving them the opportunity to understand how the system works so that they can help in identifying these people. It's also an opportunity, and this is to a larger community of persons with disability. The digital illiteracy amongst us is alarming. I can tell you 80% of persons with disability cannot open computer. They don't know what. Wow. And in this technological age, you can't survive without technology. For some of us, nobody taught me anything. I learned the hard way. And I can tell you today, I'm an expert in many of the software, but that's me. So there's a need, all the tech guys, please, you need to invest in technology that will help people with disability. Let's start with simply building their capacity to be able to use computer, and all that. So basically, JAMB has that responsibility to help the association build them, because the category, the demography of kids that are going into school is huge. Yeah. And so we need to put, yes, we have policies, but we need to put implementation strategy in place so that we can get results. Because a bad policy is a bad policy if it's not producing results.
Okay, so now we've talked about what strategically we want JAMB to do. And I know you've also spoken about digital technologies and saying that a lot of tech entrepreneurs should invest in tech that would improve the quality of lives of people living with albinism.
People living with disabilities
in general. But I also want you to talk about how we're faring as a society, because I wouldn't have thought about it, which is why it's important what you said, that the people who are impacted the most need to be in the room when certain policies are being made. I wouldn't have thought about it that they would need, a person living with albinism, for example, would need extra time, like the 1.5 rule that you've mentioned.
A time and a half.
A time and a half. So how are we as a society, how far have we come in how we treat persons with disabilities, persons living with disabilities? And I mean, let's just get your general assessment of where we are and projection for where we ought to go to.
Well, you see, some of the things we've been pushing, some of the narrative, is to take away this concept of tokenism, charity. Jake doesn't see, so please make sure there's light in the room, and move to a right-based approach, where that it is his right to enjoy certain privileges. It's not set aside for some people, and for some people, they don't get it. How has the society fared, Olive? We haven't done much. There are all kinds of policies in place. There's all kinds of systems that they are trying to either cultivate, evolve, implement, but those things we're not seeing tangible result and impact. I just came out of a retreat with my team, and I said to them that I am troubled in the sense that I want to see life transformed. I want to see transformational change in the life of the people that we're leading. I want to see more people go to school, and I'm beginning to also probe myself. When I started, I was sending kids to school, You know, at a point that we had 250 kids in school.
Wow.
You know, I was able, by his grace, to send Oluchi Iwaha to Aberdeen University. And she came back with a master's degree and 3 others. You know, I want to see more of that. So I'm beginning to look at adopt a child, you know, talking to some of my friends, using my own personal resources. 2 of my cleaner in the office and the girl that is at the front office, both of them, by his grace, have been able to send to university.
Oh,
that's the kind of thing I want to see. I want to see tangible, evidence-based, transformational change. If I walk into this room, Olive, and see you the way you are, and leave here, your life have not been transformed, I haven't fulfilled my purpose. And that's, for me, that's what we say. This society, if one person is left behind, you know, others can move forward. So this society owes it a duty, not mere privilege, to ensure that persons with disability and the most vulnerable, and can I further stretch it, women, youths, and persons with disability. And that's the full concept of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, we want to ensure that this society caters for them. If you don't, then you're not an inclusive society, you're an exclusive society. If you do, then you're an inclusive society. You know, I like what News Central and so some other news outlets are doing. You're beginning to ensure that your conversation is inclusive. You know, before, what would you have a person with albinism on screen on the national television doing? Today, it's changing because we're pushing the narrative. We need inclusive media. You know, and by the way, I've been taking candidate to the task. I want to see a person with disability, a person with albinism read your news. Now it's possible because there are teleprompters that once you put your laptop, it's running on it. I wish that happened in my time. I would have been a very good newscaster today. I was running away from newscasting. I was more, I'm still getting too old. I was more interested in presentation, you know, and all that. So the society needs to understand the complexities of persons with disability. There's something I don't want to let out of the bag, but something I'm going to do in our meeting, that ongoing meeting, you know, but because I want people to have a lived experience of what it means to be blind, of what it means to sit on a wheelchair, of what it means to walk into the room and you get all kinds of negative staring, you know, and all that. And the fact that people don't respect you sometimes until they see what you're wearing or they hear your expression, you know. When people walk up to me and say, Jake, I think I like your analysis, even though your albinism didn't stop you. And I say, stop that. You know, I'm just who I am. I'm not who I am because of what I do. I am who I am. Just like money doesn't make me who I am, money adds to what I am. You understand? So the society haven't done well, but things are changing. To be honest, things are changing.
I think that this is a very important conversation to have. You know, when we talk about sustainable development goals, goal 10 is reducing inequalities, and it is bottlenecks like this that ensure that people don't live the best quality of life. Oftentimes when we talk about equity, like just to further buttress, there's an analogy I saw once, and in this analogy, everybody was supposed to be watching something from a distance, but there was somebody who, you know, was living with dwarfism. As a result, he couldn't see further. Equity would be ensuring that you put him on a platform that gives him the right or the ability to see things from the same length that every other person who is taller than him in that room can see it. So giving them equal opportunities might mean 1 hour in the exam room for one person and 90 minutes for another, and maybe 2 hours for another. Equal opportunities to thrive. So it's really important that, you know, what you're doing is important, and we thank you for taking time to come here to speak with us and to represent, you know, be a voice for change. We hope that we can have you again when we have report from the investigation. I'm here at your service. Oliver, I want to use this opportunity because I watch you and I see beyond the rhetorics. I see beyond the lips.
the passion, please make that decision today that you can take 2-3 persons with disability, women in particular, let them become your mentee. You have been graced by God and given certain influence, you have a voice, you have a face. Let's use it to be the ladder that others can climb and see further. Your analysis is fantastic. So please, many of them will be very happy to have a celebrity friend like yours, and at the same time, my good-looking brother. So let's see what we can do for this society. Let's not leave the society the same way we made it. I want to go to grave one day and beat my chest to say, I served my generation.
You are indeed
done that already. I mean, the list of the things you've done. Thank you so much, Dr. Cheque.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good to see you live.
In Lagos.
Live.
Thank you
live in Lagos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So good.
And thank you, Kayode, and the team in News Central for what you do. The news starts with News Central.
Absolutely.
It does start with News Central.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll now be bringing you a story, a story many would consider heartbreaking, of a couple who are far away from home. They've came to Nigeria to start a new life by adopting some children here in Nigeria. Unfortunately, it would seem that there's no way for them to get back to America because of the policies that have been implemented by the government. So let's take a look at this report, and when we come back, we'll talk some more.
Meet the Wilson family, an American couple who arrived in Nigeria in March 2025 with one goal: to adopt a child and return home as a family. What they did not anticipate was a policy shift that would change everything. Recent US visa restrictions affecting 75 countries, including Nigeria, have made it impossible for the Wilsons to leave Nigeria with their newly adopted children, leaving them in limbo, far from home.
We have always been open to growing our family, however, in whatever way God wanted. I knew from a young age that I wanted to adopt. I had this heart already for it, that I wanted to bring in children that didn't have a mommy and daddy, and I wanted to provide that love for them.
Being stuck means even when we get to the point where our baby Oluwatoyin is eligible to apply for a visa, the US government is not processing visas. And so there's going to be hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 children and families who are in this process right now who are going to have an indefinite pause on getting to bring their baby home. And so for us, that just means we are stuck, because although the rest of us could leave, that would mean abandoning our child. And I can't speak to other families and other people's intentions. I know everyone has their own unique circumstances, and there are people that do not have the ability to live in country with their child. But with our family, this is the way that we've always felt very passionate about. When we adopted our first daughter, Emanuela, from Ghana, we were there in Ghana for 19 months. We didn't want to leave her, because once you meet your child and once you bond with your child, for us, it's like, I wouldn't leave him behind. So why would I leave Oluwatoyin behind?
James and Kaylee Wilson both work remotely, but what was meant to be a short stay has stretched into months, forcing the family to completely readjust to life in Nigeria. From housing to healthcare and the emotional strain of uncertainty, every day now comes with new difficult decisions.
Collecting groceries for a family of 7, living in a small community that's 25 minutes away from the nearest big shopping center, accessing clothes for my children who are growing, logistics, taking care of the rent and the electricity and the other random things that come up, issues with generators, stuff that I didn't have to deal with in America, but have to deal with here. And then also there's the emotional side. For me, that's the hardest thing as the man of my house, as the provider, as the husband, as the father, knowing that I can't certainly say anything except we're going to be here tomorrow. Like, I can say that for certain.
Their commitment to their children goes even further. Some of the children have special needs, prompting the Wilsons to begin learning sign language, determined to communicate, connect, and build a stable home, even in uncertainty.
So with our other Nigerian daughter, Eden, she was language deprived until we adopted her. So that means she was living on the streets in Lagos and she had no language. So she was just deaf without a language. And so we were the first ones to teach her language. And there's not a lot of resources on how to do that, on how to teach a child. And so it was a very difficult time because there wasn't really anyone to help us. It was very, very isolating, but we were committed to her and we were committed to helping her, and now she's come a long ways in her communication.
I adjust really quickly, but for the current adoption for Oluwatoyin, there was a lot of research that went into what was shared with us that their special need was and is, and while I can't go into like the details of that, there was weeks of learning things that I didn't even know existed.
Despite the mounting pressure, the Wilsons are clear on one thing: leaving Nigeria without their children is not an option. In response to News Central's inquiry, a U.S. Department of State official confirmed that the U.S. government is completely pausing immigration visa issuance to applicants from 75 countries, including Nigeria. The pause, which took effect on January 21, is aimed at strengthening screening and vetting procedures. Officials say affected applicants are being notified directly through consular channels and are advised to rely only on official government sources for updates.
So we've reached out to our congressmen, our senators, people in government in the U.S. Our friends and family are doing the same thing. I'm not really sure how much of a difference that will make. It seems like what makes the most difference is sharing our story and just flooding the internet with our story and stories of other families who now are not able to bring their children home to America.
Back in the United States, their extended family watches anxiously, sharing the emotional weight of a situation that has placed love, law, and borders in direct conflict.
Right now, this is just another thing that is happening, and they know that the way to get us through it is with prayer and supporting, because trying to put pressure on us and saying things like, well, you have to get your other kids back home, you have to get back home, isn't going to help anything, because we've already made a very clear line of this is our family and we're staying together and then we're going to leave together.
Even though it might cause them some fear or discomfort, they still are respectful and understand that this is God's calling for us to go out and do this. And at this point, they're just excited to meet their newest grandchild. And so they're all very excited to meet Oluwatoyin, and they're all just very supportive of us while we're here.
Yet even amid uncertainty, the Wilsons say their faith in adoption remains unshaken, encouraging more Nigerians to consider giving children loving homes.
I would just like to encourage, if there's Nigerians here locally who have an open place in their home, who have an open heart, who can bring in a child, it is not difficult to adopt if you are a Nigerian. It is very easy. You can get connected to the adoption lawyers, and you can bring a child into your home because there is so many. We are not like this special thing because we are American and we come to Nigeria. It's not like that. It doesn't need to be like that. These children, they just need a mommy and a daddy to love them. And if you have the love for your heart, to open up your heart to a child, then you should consider doing that.
The Bible says that there's a pure and undefiled religion is this, to care for the orphans and the widows in their distress, and to be untainted by the wickedness of the world. And so if you call yourself religious, the Bible defines religion pretty specifically.
For the Wilson family, this is more than a policy issue. It is about family, belonging, and the right of children to grow up in loving homes. Until the law changes, their lives remain on pause here in Nigeria. In Lagos for News Central, Bernard Akedi.
Welcome back. You're watching Breakfast Central. Very, I'd say, thought-provoking report there by our man Bernard Akide. Taking a look at Trump's recent reforms in terms of visa entry and the likes. You have Americans who are stuck in Nigeria just because of an adoption case or situation that they found themselves in. But then again, don't forget, stay with News Central. We'll give you updates on that story and that particular family. But welcome to the front pages of the newspapers where you can have your say, and we do have our in-house analyst as well. Please put your hands together as we warmly welcome the one and only, the editor-in-chief of the niche newspaper, Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi. Thank you.
So when did you start?
Thank you,
so, did you? I hope you didn't hear what she said. She said, well, when did you start? I don't know if you saw that video
that went viral.
It's a video that's trending.
Of a young man.
How old are you?
Interviewing this Asho Speed guy that came to Nigeria, and then Egungun went to interview him. I said he's the largest interviewer in Africa, and then started by saying, "Oh, how old are you?" He said, 21.
Say, wow, it's so
wow,
strong.
You're so strong and healthy for 21. They said, when did you start? Whoa. While here judging Egungun, he has bought house. So.
You know, that's the materialistic mentality that we have. Is it the house that will stop demand from who he has become? He can have all the house, but it's the personality there. But anyway, let's not delve on that. We just have to bring that up because this is a seasoned journalist of repute from decades. We learned under him, so we must give honor to whom honor is due. The Guardian is the first paper I want us to go to, Mr. Michi. There's a problem, and we must talk about this problem. This problem is our problem, is your problem watching as well.
And we have to gather together and solve it.
It's on the front picture there.
This one touched you personally.
Residents on the brink as rents spike above yearly income in major cities. Nigeria's housing deficit, estimated at nearly 28 million units, continues to widen. That infographic you see there says inflation at 15.15%, but prices remain sticky. Also, incomes have stagnated, rising more slowly than rents. Households struggle to maintain a balance between food, Medicare, and education. Agency fees have contributed to rising rents. Rents in many cities have gone up by at least 100. It's even more than 100%. 200%. I don't know, Mr. Michi. Let's just start on a lighter note on this one before we go to the, before we get ready to go into all of that story, which is the DHU Defense Headquarters. Let me just read through the headers too, so that we can give our viewers more time to get themselves ready, acquainted with the calls. So I'm going to start off first with a DHQ to court martial indicted officers in coup plot. That's what that story says. They've mentioned their names, 16 of them. They say, don't let 2027 politics undermine governance. CISLAC warns National Assembly. Don't let 2027 politics undermine governance. We hate to break the news to you, but we think it has already. We talked about it early this morning. We're back to politics now. A Christian genocide has gone down the drain. Tax laws. NEFGARD demands probe sanctions over alleged alterations. And let's stop there. We're going to take two of these major stories on The Guardian. The DHQ. I will also take a look at the APC story concerning Kano. But let's come to the housing issue. I don't know what your take is.
Well, I must thank Guardian for the story they did this morning. It is one of those human interest stories that newspapers, in the pursuit of the common good, and must continue to do and from time to time. The housing crisis in Nigeria, or as they framed it in major
cities
in the country, it is one of those crises that that we are not reporting as we ought to report. But the truth of the matter is that many people can no longer afford decent houses because of the stagnation of income, and then you are talking about 100, 200%. I don't think so. I think it is in the neighborhood of even more than 2,000%. Now, for instance, accommodation that in 2024 that used to go for 1.5 million per annum, perhaps a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment, depending in which area of Lagos you live. Go to that place now, you can't get it at 4 million. I know of an estate where people were paying 1.5 million for a 3-bedroom flat. Last year, they were all given quick notice, and the landlord said he wanted to renovate and all that. Now, those 3-bedroom flats are going for 5 million. So now what you see is that, there's this joke in town that you were living in Surulere.
They moved you to...
Then from there, you come over to Gbenga. And from Gbenga, you are going to Maboro.
From Maboro, you are going to Ibadan.
And all that. But it's a very serious crisis. So what you see is that many people are moving from what used to be the city centers and are going to the outskirts, where you don't have the facilities, you don't have the roads, you don't have even electricity and all that. And these people are still the same people who are working in Lagos, who are working in on the island. And you now see people wake up 4 a.m. to prepare for work and leave their houses as early as 5 a.m. if you are to be in your place of work before 8 a.m. as the case may be. And of course, they don't even return until about 11, 12 midnight, and 4 a.m. again, they are off. Now, you ask yourself, how does that impact productivity? How does that even impact on the health,
life expectancy
of the people? There's this, a friend of mine told me last year of a cousin of his who slumped and died at a bus stop in Ikorodu. He lives in one of those remote parts of Ikorodu, and he goes to work 4 a.m. In fact, he always has his torchlight to go to work, and that torchlight was on when he slumped. And before anybody knew what was happening, he was dead. And it was partly because of exhaustion. The wife says he comes back from work at about 12 midnight every day, and then by 4, he's again on the day. So when does he, and he works almost every day, except on Sundays. So it is a crisis, and the government is not doing anything to 20-something million housing
deficit.
The question is if the government can actually do something. But we need to go on a very quick break. We'll come back and continue this conversation before we then move on to talk about the sit-at-home order in Anambra State. We'll be right back in a moment. For Central, we're still reviewing the front pages of the papers. I would like to take your comments now, so please head to YouTube where we're streaming live. News Central TV Live is where we're streaming, and drop your comments. We'll be picking comments from the YouTube section. We also want to open the phone line, so if you have, we can take a few calls because we really need to dissect the stories today. Now, we've spoken about rent. Still on the front page of The Guardian, the bottom corner of the front page, we can see there, Soludo orders 1-week closure of Onitsha main market over sit at home. Earlier we had this conversation with the former National Publicity Secretary of Ohaneze Ndigbo. We have a video of Professor Soludo, the governor of Anambra State, making these declarations, or we like call them declarations. But let's take a look at this video. When we come back, I'll have Mr. Amechi react to it. We'll bring you the video shortly, but just to mention that earlier today when we were having a conversation, we showed you the governor of Anambra State addressing the citizens and ordering them to return to work and return to the market, saying that if they do not return to the market and if they continue to observe the sit-at-home orders, the market will be shut for a month. Yes, you can see clips here. Let's take a look at this audio and then we'll have Mr. Amechi react.
Anyone who has not opened, for main market of all markets to be shut down. I know that people have done this sit-at-home on Mondays for quite some time now, and as they say, an abomination that lasts a year becomes culture. No, this can no longer go on in Anambra. Are you hearing me? And I will tell you this. You either decide that you want to trade here or you can go elsewhere. This main market, if you don't want it to open, I'll come and take bulldozer and level it. And I'm very, very serious about it. I'm not joking. Going forward, any Monday, any shop that is not open will be locked for 1 week. And let me tell you this. As I'm speaking to you now, when I finish this whole main market and all the adjoining these things will be locked down for the whole of this week. There will be no market anywhere here. Each Monday will come. If people are not in their respective shops, it will be shut down again. If you like, I don't mind shutting down main market for the remainder of this year. We're not going to allow this. It's plain economic sabotage. And also we suspect whoever closes their shop to have some...
Well, you've heard it from the horse's mouth, Mr. Amechi.
Well, before I go to Soludo and the crisis of the sit-at-home, I was still talking on the
rent issue.
Yeah. On the rent issue. So what do we do? You know, the thing is even getting worse when you consider that, for instance, in Lagos, we see a lot of places being pulled down, Mama Coco and all those places. And what does that mean? That people are being pushed into that space where they don't have accommodation again. So it compounds a problem that is already smoldering out there. So, and here is a country where we don't have any kind of mortgage facilities.
Mortgage, yeah.
If you live in societies where you can get mortgage, then you can afford to own your own building and pay over time. Here, it must be cash and carry. If you don't have your own millions, you can't even build. And to build now is also not something any worker that lives on his salary can afford to undertake. A bag of cement is 10,000 naira. So how many bags of cement are you going to buy to build a 3-bedroom bungalow? So all I'm saying is that the government must take this as an existential crisis, because one of the 3 things of man, the most essential needs of man, food, shelter,
and clothing,
clothing. So if you make destitute out of citizens of this country, because you're going to force them to live under the bridge, is going to affect every other thing, because the uncertainty of not having where to lay your head at the end of the day will affect the schooling of your children. It will affect almost every other thing, calculation you make in life. So, like I said earlier, what Guardian did is a very good report, and I should hope that governments across the country should be able to take housing crisis in Nigeria as a big issue that must be addressed. The same way they declared emergency in security, they should declare emergency in the provision of affordable housing for Nigerians. Now, going back to what Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukuma Soludo said, you know, I've argued endlessly that I don't get the idea of this sit at home. And you know, for everything people do, you must look at the end result. What do you intend to achieve by doing this? You've done this now for more than 3 years or so. Billions of naira have been lost. People have been killed for simply coming out on a Monday. People have died because the fear of coming out on Monday prevented those who are sick from getting to the hospitals. Women have been delivered of their children, of their babies at home because they can't go to hospitals on Mondays. Now, it has even become part of the considerations that if you have an event in the southeast, if it falls on a Monday, they automatically move it to Tuesday because it is on a Monday. You can't even travel out of the southeast if you have an appointment that you must travel on a Monday for you to meet up on Tuesday. You would rather go on Sunday because people are afraid to travel on Monday. And what is it supposed to achieve? When it first started, the idea was to pressure the government of late Muhammad Buhari to release the then detained IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kano. He didn't. You close all businesses. Igbo people are known for trading. They are known for their businesses. And the only livelihood they have, you shut it down every Monday. When every other, in fact, if you cross River Niger and go into Asaba, Delta State, life goes on Mondays. Abuja is bubbling every Monday. Lagos is bubbling every Monday. How do you cut your nose to spite your face? Which is what this nonsense is all about. Now it is almost, even schools, even children don't go to school on Mondays. Yeah. In the southeast again.
Okay.
So what Chukuma Soludo is saying, if you ask me, he has my 100% support.
Okay.
Nnamdi Kano, before he was not convicted, of course, spoke against this sit at home. So who are those that are enforcing this sit at home?
So there's an element that I want us to look at, which is the security element. But let's take a call from Chidi. Good morning, Chidi. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, good morning, Olive and Johansson.
Good morning.
Morning.
And my worthy brother, Amechi. I want to react to what the governor said. Let us be frank. Why do we have the Monday sit at home at first? How did we get to this point? Something happened. Something brought something up. That is number one. Number two, the governor said he's going to shut down market. On what ground? Did you open the shop for them? Are you the one paying their bills? Don't I have my right to do what I want to do? I'm a private person. I may decide not to go to work on Monday. As I'm talking to you, I may decide not to go to work today. You can't just come and tell me to open my shop. I have my right. I am not under compulsion to do that. So it's like you can take a horse to the stream, but you can't force a horse to drink water. The market is their business. The goods in the shop is their goods. So one can decide, but let us not even talk about, let us talk at less about what happened, how did we get to this point?
Okay.
What is the remedy to this situation? That's what we should be thinking about.
All right, thank you very much, Chidi. Let's take another call from Uche, calling from Abia State. Good morning, Uche. Uche, please go ahead with your comment. Thank you for calling. All right, seems that we've lost the call to Uche. Just to add to something that he said, he said, are they not private citizens? Now, while many people agree that the government can insist for civil servants because they are working for the government, should the government be able to then take away that right from private citizens? How do we find that line between him trying to kick away what he would say is powered by terror and infringing on citizens' rights? Okay, Uche is back. Uche, thank you for calling back. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Uche.
Yeah, the issue of sit at home, in Southeast, majority of Southeasterners are not in support of sit at home. But the security agencies, what are they doing? Let me tell you people, personal experience. I produce a little something, I have workers. On Mondays, when the heat was on, we'll go to market. One of my drivers was passing through a checkpoint, military checkpoint. They warned my driver that if anything happens to him, he should not call them. I don't know whether you're getting me. These are the people that should encourage people to do what? To come out. But they are warning us. In my own local government, I'm from Onitsha local government. Onitsha will shut down on Monday, whereas Umuahia, the capital, where even the local government, where the Kano comes from, are busy on Mondays. We have the largest army barracks in Onitsha, the largest in Nigeria. What are they doing? You can't force people like the first caller said. We are not in a military regime, according to Soludo. But what is he doing? Soludo goes with about security personnel, maybe 200 or 100. And what has he kept in the market for those people? That is the question people will be asking. People are willing to come out, but the governors, what are they doing? God bless you people.
Thank you very much, Uche. I think we have
the points both Chude and Chede made are valid. But my point is that when you say that, look, these are private businesses and therefore they ought to do as they like, it doesn't necessarily go that way. And has he also factored in the fact that there are sanctions on people who defy and come to the markets on Mondays? So what right has the unions, now the market unions, what right do they have to also say those who want to open their markets on Monday that you can't come? Can you come to the market on Monday if you want to open your shop? Will you have access now to the market?
So they are perpetrating that restriction by fear.
Exactly.
With the instrument of fear.
Exactly.
Should the government also be applying the instrument of fear as well?
Exactly. So, no, whether what we are looking at, what we should be asking is what serves public interest most. Is it closing the market every Monday? What is the end game? What do they intend to achieve? What point are they trying to make? Is this still the release of Nnamdi Kano or what? What is driving this issue?
Which is sort of what you were saying, that we should go back to the root of the problem.
Like the second person said, okay, the root of the problem is in Nnamdi Kano, like I said earlier. But the government, in its own wisdom, has refused. Igbo leaders, before Mbazulike Amechi died, before the former governor of Anambra State died, they all went and pleaded with Buhari. They have pleaded with Tinubu, and all to no avail. Now, Nnamdi Kano has been tried and convicted. Of course, he's going on appeal. Do we shut down Alibo? What impact is it having on people in the southeast, is the sit at home having any impact whatsoever on the people who are sitting down in Aso Rock? So, in enlightened self-interest, how can we be shooting ourselves on the food?
So I think many people agree with you that the sit-at-home doesn't serve the right?
It
However,
doesn't.
people are afraid for their lives. Shouldn't the focus be on the government sharing strategies to ensure that they are guaranteeing the security of citizens? Because I believe that if a number of them knew that they will go to their markets and nothing will happen to them with their businesses, they will show up. But let's hear from Osas. Osas is calling from River State. Good morning, Osas.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yes, I want to comment on the... Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. I want to make comment on the Anambra State government's remark. I think Professor Charles Soludo is getting it wrong. He's getting it wrong. First of all, do you know that people have been killed in that Anambra or the Southeast? A lot of people have been killed because of this state at home. And there are neighbors that know their neighbors that were killed. The fear of that will also not allow them to come to stuff. You will know that it will scare them away because they know somebody that was killed because of that. So how many of these criminals have Professor Charles Soludo been able to identify and arrest? Then the other part, if you want that market to be open every Monday, him and his commissioners to come and have a shop there, let all of them come and open their shop. Once they see that the governor is in that market with his commissioner, I guarantee you, everybody in Anambra or in that main market that is trying to shut down, they will all be in the market. The governor should not be in Oka and expect those people who are exposed to insecurity to just go to the shop and open there. He should come, him and all his commissioners, he should come and open shop, have a shop there.
All right, let's take one more call so that... Thank you so much, Osas. Let's hear from Kelechi from Abia, and then we would have to pause for a bit to get a reaction from Mr. Mechi. Kelechi, please go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, good morning. Okay, please, I want to comment on this issue concerning Soludo blocking or closing down the shops in Onitsha. The guest has a right to his own opinion, but I think it is just like commending a doctor who is managing a symptom without treating the root cause of that symptom. When you commend such a doctor, definitely you will get it back. I mean, you get it wrong. And that's one of the reasons some of the measures we are putting up is not. Somebody called, one of the callers made mention of the army, the security, warning them not to go, not to proceed with their movement, the consequences of that movement. The security, what are the security thing about this? Anybody who becomes a collateral, who gets to lose his life in this process, we Soludo bring him back, him or her back. So I think we are missing it. We are treating the symptoms without managing the root. If you manage the root cause of this or the cause of this particular symptom, the symptoms will disappear without any much effort. And I think the governor, in fact, the government with that particular measure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelechi. And on YouTube, we have Prince Ajibade says, why will you lock my shop because I chose not to sell on a particular day? No, let me get my shop. I can decide to sell on Friday alone. Victor Okebata says, Soludo is becoming a monarch. He should be worried about government workers and provide security for them. If serious, let him providing adequate security. Fear is a deterrent, he says.
Look, almost everybody is not saying the same thing. I've not seen anybody who commented here who is saying that this Nasit at home is doing any good to the people. Now, if the issue is what security measures is the governor putting in place to ensure that people are not killed when they venture out, because eventually, what those who are going ahead with this Nasit at home, what they will do is that they will be waiting and, of course, kill one or two people, God forbid. Kill one or two people tomorrow who attempt to come out on Monday so that others will be scared now from coming out on Monday. So it behoves the governor to ensure that there is adequate security for anybody who decides to defy this sit at home, which nobody as at now is owning up to. IPOB leader said it is not him. IPOB has also distanced itself. IPOB as an organization has distanced itself from this sit at home. So who is enforcing this sit at home, and in whose interest? What are we trying to achieve as a people, as Ndibo, by shutting down our businesses every Monday, by shutting down schools every Monday, by making Alibo a ghost town, a ghost region every Monday? Who is doing this? Yes, when it started initially, it was an attempt to pressure the federal government to release Nnamdi Kano. It didn't succeed. So why are we still on that tangent? Why are we still continuing with doing what has not succeeded? So if the argument, and I fully subscribe to it, if the argument is, how do we tax in a Soludo? It is not enough to say every Monday, if you don't open your shop, I'll close it now for 1 week. It's not enough to say that. How do you ensure, because you are the chief security officer of the state, how do we ensure that anybody who listens to you and comes out every Monday will come out and go back home alive?
I think you have said it. You've really hit the nail on the head. You know, and that's what majority of people, yes, there are those who agitate that, you know, they might still want to continue this for the reason it was established, but majority of people
they are in the minority.
Yes,
they are in the minority.
Are saying, if they are going to come out, are they going to go back home alive? Will they go back with their businesses, you know, survive that? We are out of time. We have like 3 minutes to end the show, but I do want us to take a story on the front page of the leadership, just to still again further highlight some of the challenges we're dealing with as a nation. The bottom corner of the leadership newspaper says, Komenwali village head says bandits are demanding 250 million naira and 20 motorcycles to release abductees. This is where we are as a nation. But the big story on the front page of the leadership is Yusuf's deputy faces tough situation over refusal to defect. According to ex-deputy governor, my joining APCs for stability progress of our state, says Kano government, as quickly as you can. We had a guest earlier who is of the opinion that Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf moving to the APC is not a betrayal to the Kwankwaso, but it's a strategic plan. That is all political strategy. That is like a forerunner going ahead of Kwankwaso before Kwankwaso would then eventually move to the APC or maybe the ADC.
Look, Olive, I'm sick and tired of the antics of Nigerian politicians. Let them play their game. Nobody's betraying anybody. One of the qualities you must have to be a successful Nigerian politician is that you must be a betrayer.
Very facts.
It is as simple as that. If you don't have the capacity to betray,
then you can't be a politician.
You can't be a Nigerian politician.
Okay, Nigerian politician. Yeah.
If you don't have that quality, so I don't have any sympathy when Kwakwanso comes out to say that Governor Yusuf, jumping ship is the height of betrayal. All of them, that is what they do. That is, when you hear that somebody is an astute politician, it then means the guy has the capacity to betray. It then means the guy has the capacity to walk back on agreements. So whatever Yusuf is doing is for no. He has said that it is to take a Kano to the center. Okay, since democracy returned in 1999, Kano has been with the center. Kwakwanso, as governor, was a member of the PDP. And PDP was in power at the center. He was even at the time defense minister also.
Yes.
Gandhi and all that. So what did Kano benefit all those years that they were aligned with the center? What is it that they have lost in the last 3 years because they are no longer aligned with the center? Those other governors that have also defected to APC, what advantage has it added to them? The only thing is that perhaps they are immune from the harassment that people like Governor of Osun State, Adeleke, is now facing. Because if Adeleke were to be a member of the APC, the federal government will not seize the allocation of
the local government.
Despite the ruling of the courts. So there is nothing, it has to do with selfish personal aggrandizement. It has nothing to do with the people. So when they come to frame this in the decision of fighting for the people, I get irritated.
And I really hope that, when we go to the polls, people can remember that politicians will always put their own personal interests before your
I doubt whether Nigerians...
And I hope that we will remember that when it's time to vote. But
I doubt whether Nigerians will remember. I've not seen the people like this before.
Wow, we're very, very patient. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll be back again tomorrow. Jasiri comes up next time. Olive, MOD.
I'm Joe Hansen, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you to our virtual audience as well as those who called in. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.